This is Stephanie Johnson with Cornerstone Learning Hub. This session is going to be manipulating data. Many times we have data that we need to break apart or join, separate data that we want to be together, data that's stored together that we want to be separate. And one of the best features that you can use for inconsistent data is this feature called flash fill. Flash fill has come into the suite very late in the versions of Excel, but to me it's one of the strongest features that it's brought into Excel in a long time. I think that you can save time using this feature. I'm going to bring up the Excel spreadsheet that has flash fill data that I want to join together, and I also want to separate. So as you see here, we have 3 columns of data, one of them representing the first name, the middle column representing the middle initial, and the last column or the third column representing last name. I want that data to be joined together. So I'm going to be able to use flash fill for that. If I were to use something like concatenate, it would have an extra space that I don't want to be there for those who don't have middle names. So this is what I'm calling inconsistent data. Some people have middle names, some people don't. I personally don't have a middle name. So I'm going to throw off anything that would need to be consistent as far as middle names. So let's use flash fill. Flash fill is stored under the data ribbon. So I have my cursor on D1. I'm going to go ahead and type in the first entry. So I'm going to type in the first name, a space, and then the middle initial, and then last name. So my perfect results would be that the people who have a middle name, it will please bring in their middle name. But those who don't have a middle name, it'll just bring in their first and last name. I go to the next entry because I want to repeat that pattern. So I'm in D2 and I'm going to go up to Data Tools, Gallery, and choose right next to text to columns, there's something called flash fill. So at this point, I want to be able to use flash fill. I'll go ahead and choose that. So as you see here, it has people who have middle names and the people who don't have middle names. So it was able to do that very quickly for all of these entries. Now, what I want to make sure is that if I have Linda Stith here, it does not have an extra space. So at this point, I'm going to go back out this extra space in Linda Stith and then go ahead and then just correct that one entry. And then it should correct everyone else's there. So did you see the magic of what just happened with flash fill? I was able to pull in the people who had middle names with one space between each string. And then the people who didn't have middle names, it looked like it had a double space. So all I did was correct the first entry there and it corrected the rest of the list for me. So for me, I think that this is very powerful and it works well with inconsistent data. One of the other things that I want to do is I want to be able to take someone's last name, comma, space, and then take their first name. Now at this point, then I should be able to use flash fill for it to look over here and see what do you want to do. So I'm going to choose flash fill, and you see that it was successfully able to look and see that everyone's name was going to be last name, comma, space, first name. So flash fill is extremely powerful. I'm going to show you a couple other examples of flash fill. I'm just going to move these columns over. And I'm going to go and just type in the first initial and then the last name. Then at that point, instead of you going up to flash fill again, I could do Control E. Control E is going to look over on the left and say, okay, I'm going to pull the first initial and then the last name. So one of my favorite ways to be able to use flash fill is if I want to add a prefix or a suffix. So I'm going to say that I want it to be Trent and then the last name with a period in between. So I'm making it into an email. And then I'm going to say at cornerstonetraining.net. What else? Okay. Then we go down to the next line, and of course it's converted it to an actual email. I want to be able to go and add the email address for the rest of them, so I'm just going to use flash fill. And now I've been able to create emails that quickly. Flash fill is extremely strong, and it notices patterns, even if the patterns are inconsistent, and it should save you time when you're manipulating data. So over here in column K, it looks like I have the same set of social security numbers or made up social security numbers that you saw in the previous videos when I was using text to columns, and I was also using concatenate. What I want to do is I want to put special characters between these numbers. So I'm going to put a dash and then a slash here, and then what are the last four digits? 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I wanted to repeat that pattern, I should be able to use flash fill, and it understands that this is the pattern that you want for the rest of the numbers. So I can only explain to those of you who have done this before how many formulas that we would have to write to break up data and put special characters and then put data back together. But flash fill does it all in one step. It can be used for so many things. This is just to get you started with flash fill. And I hope that you get a chance to practice with the spreadsheet that's already able for you to be downloaded in this particular session, and just practice your own data with flash fill. I am sure that it's going to save you time.